Hello and welcome. On this episode of Abby Normal Garage, we will be repairing our spare. Easy, killer. You don't want to repair a Chinese diesel heater? Why not? Anyway, we will be rebuilding our spare cheap Chinese diesel heater. Alright, so step one, we'll take this nut off, which it looks like the whole stud's going to come out. That's fine. Then we got to take this gasket off. Put that back on. Then we remove this end cap. It threads on, like so. We'll flip the unit over. We'll pull this cover off, and that exposes the entire heater unit. And you just lift, pull it out of the casing, like so. This was finger tight. This is the controller for the heater. We'll set that aside. We'll unsnap that, remove the controller. I've had to do this a couple times. Last year I was trying to save money, so I was buying used or reclaimed oil, and it had a tendency of gumming these heaters up. I don't know if it was the fact that it was old, or was it, the fact that it was dyed. But normally, these are actually pretty trouble-free. We use these to heat our house. We've got one set up in the living room, and it does a good job. We rebuilt it earlier this year. It was the same problem, all gummed up. So I've been running the one on the house exclusively on diesel fuel from the pump. Haven't had any problems. The biggest downside, or if you consider it a downside to these heaters, is they run on 12 volts. In my case, I've got a battery and a float charger on it. This is the blower that blows air over the unit, and this is the impeller that forces air into the unit to be burned. The only issue I've had with these is the cheap Chinese motors. The bearings go out in them, but they're relatively easy to change, and I believe this one's been upgraded with ceramic bearings. Alright, so now we've got the burn chamber, the glow plug, so to get that out, you pull this plug. In the rebuild kit, it comes with a tool to remove them. You just thread that out. I doubt there's anything wrong with it, but I have a rebuild kit, so I'll just swap it out. You know what? I'm gonna put that one back in. That one don't look that bad. Okay. With the glow plug out, now we can remove the burn chamber. That was taking too long. Oh heck, this is the one I lost the screw to. I gotta get a Phillips. This is the one that had a non-rebuildable motor, and I had to get a rebuildable motor for it, and I lost all the screws to the burn chamber. Alright, with all your screws out of the burn chamber, you just pick it up. This one ain't as bad as the other one was, but it's still pretty clogged up. Looks like I can reuse this gasket. That's great. I'm going to knock the big stuff out, and then I'll put this in the sandblaster. Now we got it in our highly modified Harbor Freight sandblaster. Let's get to it. Oh God. I can't see. Clean up that exhaust port. Alrighty, let's go ahead and take our whizzy wheel over to our gasket cartridge. So I have a new burn chamber. I'm just going to go ahead and change it. In this pack, it comes with the new burn chamber and the new gasket, so we'll use the new gasket. Look at how clean that is. That's the thing of beauty. We will put our gasket. We'll set our gasket in there. Look, the injection screen's even pre-installed. That's cheating. Normally those injection screens just pull out though. It's usually not a big deal. And the same problem with the last one. Bend this tube into shape. Okay. I can already see me welding this to a socket, so I don't have to deal with this stupid bar. Okay, now that our glow plug's installed, slide our cap back over it. that. This time we'll put a new gasket on. Put our blower motor back on. Like so. Put our screws back in. Like so. Okay. That's back together. Spin it over real quick, make sure nothing's grinding, hitting, or anything. We'll put our control module back on. This is pretty simple. Can only go on one way. This probe here is for the temperature sensor. This here is for the blower motor. Like that. Then it snaps down on that. And on the outside. It goes like that. Put the screw back in. You can find these things, if you're interested, all over the internet. They're called cheap Chinese diesel heaters. They're fairly inexpensive. If you wanted to do, my dad has one in his camper. That way he doesn't have to use the propane furnace, because the propane furnace uses a lot of propane. Also be a good thing to put in an enclosed trailer if you're trying to make a camping facility out of one. Like I said, I use it to heat my house. Got a pretty small house though. And it does good all the way down to 0. But once it hits 0, it's running hard all night. They're not too bad on fuel. Well, I'm gonna rig up a test stand so we can test this thing. Here we go. The pump just kicked on. I can hear it buzzing. Heck yeah. Oh yeah, it's going now. You can see the burn chamber's not up to temperature yet, but it's getting there. Putting out good heat already. And we're back. She's been running full throttle now for about 5 or 6 minutes. It's putting out 208 degrees from the heating end. There's no emissions, or no visible emissions from the exhaust. Like I say, it's just kicking along. It's running good. Let's throttle it back to idle. As you can see, the burn chamber is up to temperature. Let's throttle this thing back to idle. This one's not set up in temperature mode. The one in the house is set up on the thermostat. So when it gets to a temperature, it returns to idle by itself. That wraps up this episode of Abby Normal Garage. The heater's over here idling nicely. We've been using these for about 3 years. They work pretty good. One of the biggest downsides is they're 12 volts, but to me it's an upside because mine's powered off a battery that's charged with a float charger, so if the power goes out, you still have heat. That's came in handy a couple times. They don't really burn too much fuel. At idle, they may burn half a gallon in a day. At wide open, they could burn up to 2 or 3 gallons in a day. So it just depends how hard it has to run. But we typically like these. They work pretty good. Well, if you like what you see, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next episode of Abby Normal Garage.